Welcome to another episode of Brazen. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about manifestation. So, manifestation has been a big buzzword over the last couple of years. It really came into pop culture and all over our social media during the pandemic when people were spending a lot more time at home and had a lot more time to think about stuff like this. And it has a lot of connotations. Some people kind of consider it like a mystical or kind of a woo-woo thing. But the question that we're going to look into today is whether it is a real thing or if it's just a TikTok trend. So interestingly, between 2020 and 2021, Google searches for manifestation methods increased by over 15,000%. Like, is that not an insane number? So, I mean, it's really popular. Lots of people know about it and lots of people are doing it. So, what we're going to talk about today is what is manifestation? Is there any data to support this as a practice that actually works? And if that's true, how should you do it the right way so that you get the benefits that, everybody talks about with manifestation? So let's get started. First of all, let's kind of dig into the neuroscience behind it. So there is, just to cut to the chase, there is a lot of scientific data to show that manifestation actually works when you do it the right way. There is a right way and a wrong way to do it. We're going to get into that in a little while. But basically, when you are manifesting, what happens is it activates this part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And that is what controls where your attention goes. So it's basically like the filter of the mind, because you are taking in so much stimuli on a constant basis so that your brain doesn't get overwhelmed. It needs to filter through and only give you what it deems relevant. So this is the benefit of getting clear on your goals. This tells your reticular activating system what is important to you, what is relevant. And so when that part of your brain recognizes something that might be relevant or helpful to help you reach that goal that you've already determined is important to you, you are going to notice more opportunities, more resources, things that are going to help you get there faster. And a way that this is commonly explained is think about how when you buy a new car, say, in my case, it's a Ford Explorer. I bought a Ford Explorer and then all of a sudden I started noticing that same car in that same color everywhere. And it's not that there are all of a sudden more Ford Explorers on the road. It's just that my brain recognizes that to be something relevant to me. And so it starts making me aware of it whenever it's around. So when we're stressed and just coasting through life and aren't able to slow down and get clear on our priorities, our goals, our values. This is kind of a lot of us before the pandemic. We were burned out, we were overworked, we were in survival mode. We haven't given our brain the chance to understand what is important to us because we are not sitting down and thinking about it consciously. And that is what clues our reticular activating system in on where we want to go. So that is why things like journaling, meditating, mindfulness, manifestation, all of that is going to help you to kind of clue your brain in, and then it's going to notify you of when there are opportunities or resources that are going to help you with that. And that's what helps you to get there. So that's kind of the science behind manifestation and why it works. So now we're going to kind of dive into the right way to manifest and the wrong way to manifest. So, Val, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I love that we're talking about this because it's a word that I am nervous to bring up to coaching clients because there is so much connotation around it, and everything from, just like you said, a TikTok trend, and just I feel like it kind of can sometimes immediately discredit what I'm about to say because it's such a buzzword, but there is truly science behind it. And you kind of talked about the physiological neuroscience behind it, but we, like, as coaches, we like to talk a little bit about the growth mindset. And Dr. Carol Dweck is pretty famous for popularizing the idea of a growth mindset. And she kind of talked about manifestation in the sense that believing you can do something drastically increases your chances of actually accomplishing it. And it's not some crazy, mystical thing. It's because you're more willing to work for it. And because, as you mentioned, your brain is super focused on achieving that goal, you start to notice all of the opportunities and, come up with creative ways to overcome your challenges. So that's truly how manifestation works in a practical sense. So a key point of that is you can't just declare that you want $1 million and want to live on a beach. You have to create your goals and come up, specifically with what you're trying to achieve, and make a plan for it, and not just sit back and just hope for it to happen. And it's just a kind of a new way of contextualizing goal setting. And this is where things like vision boards and spending some time spending some time doing some visualizations can really help. So you want to keep the goal at the forefront of your mind and be constantly working towards it each day, or at least, kind of brainstorming new ways to tackle it. So we always recommend doing a vision board. So it's a visual representation of your goal that you can see every single day. And it allows you to, as I mentioned, keep it in the forefront and not just sort of lose momentum for it. And it can be also integrated into your spiritual life. So if you are someone that wants to take it into that realm, you can do it through prayer or meditation and just general mindfulness, like you mentioned earlier. So,
Yeah, I found in my own life that when I was kind of just stuck in that survival mode and just treading water, trying to get through the day, I felt like I was missing opportunities and just, things weren't happening for me that were happening for other people. And I think that is part of what feeds into the whole the grass is greener on the other side mentality, and like wanting what other people have. But once I was able to get quiet with myself, have time to myself where I could really just reflect on things,
mm-hmm.
and then I realized that my life wasn't working for me the way that it was, and I needed to change things. That gave me the opportunity to figure out what I wanted to have my life look like. And then things kind of just started happening that brought me closer to that vision for my life. And, you know, you can call it divine intervention, you can call it manifestation, you can call it, you know, the universe working for you or whatever you want. But it's just, the key is really for you to just slow down and have that quiet time where you can get clear on what it is you want in your life so that you don't wake up decades from now and have some kind of a midlife crisis because your life isn't what you wanted it to be. You don't even know what you want, but you know this isn't it. And you feel resentful and all of these other negative feelings. So the earlier you can start carving out just a few minutes a day, even to just sit quietly with yourself without any distractions, no phone, no TV, no tablets, nothing, and just sit with your consciousness, things are going to just start floating up to the surface.
Yeah, I think, it goes along with visualizing as well. And I think once you are clear on what your goal is, spending that time to then devote that quiet time to mentally imagining the process of reaching your goal is really huge, because it's very easy to take a little peek at your goals in the morning and then just let the day happen and kind of not spend any more time or energy on it. And so setting a visualization practice, for 5 to 10 minutes a day is a good opportunity to say, okay, this is where I come back to my goals. I take stock of where I am, address any challenges and opportunities that have come up, do some creative brainstorming. Visualization is my favorite time to really examine my goals and kind of get creative. A lot of times I'll just put music on and in my AirPods and just kind of zone out a little bit and try to grasp at some creative options for goals. And so I think, your point about just having some time that is devoted to just either allowing yourself to come up with what your life needs to look like, or to spend that time just really focusing your energy on your goals, can be really huge in accomplishing them.
So let's give you some practical tips that are going to help you to get started with manifestation the right way, so that you actually see the benefits and the progress in your own life. So tip 1, Valerie, this is like your bread and butter.
Yes.
So tip 1 is you want to set your goals. If you need help with goal setting, you're going to want to go back to episode 6 and listen to that, because we really dive deep into what it takes to set goals that you're going to achieve. So check that out. Tip number 2, you want to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day focusing on your goals. Valerie, how would you suggest that people kind of get started doing something like that? How do you visualize your goals?
So there are a couple of different things I would recommend for this step. Number 1 is to come up with a vision board that you can spend some time with every day. Number 2 would be to spend some time visualizing, as we talked about. And step 3 would just be actual action that you take every day. So you can use that 5 to 10 minute segment to actually work towards your goals, even if it's just like, a 5-minute action that gets you just that much closer to your final goal.
And if you don't really know what you want to set for a goal, maybe setting some time aside to or using that time to create your own vision board would be a good place to start. You know, flip through magazines or look through online articles for different images that represent the life that you want to be living, and then put them somewhere where you're going to see them every day, whether it's a physical vision board, you know, something that's sitting up next to your desk, or maybe you make a digital one. So it's your screensaver on your computer or your lock screen on your phone, something that you're seeing consistently to really reinforce that vision. Mm-hmm. So that might be a good place to start if you're having trouble identifying what you want to be striving for. So use that 5 to 10 minutes to just do that. Just kind of browse the internet and, you know, make it intentional that you're trying to figure out what appeals to you. Tip number 3 is that you want to assess where you're at and then challenge any obstacles that come up. Valerie, could you talk a little bit more about what that means?
Yes. So for step 3, you both want to challenge any obstacles, but also to reward yourself for any forward momentum and any success you're having towards your goals, because success just breeds more success and keeps that sort of positivity about your goals. But in terms of challenging obstacles, this is where you want to dive deep into your limiting beliefs and looking at if you find yourself sort of creeping into the negative feelings towards your ability to accomplish your goal. It's a great time to use possibly that 5 to 10 minutes every day to start writing down why you feel like you can't reach that goal, and just jot it down on paper. Just notice the conversation you're having in your head around your goals. And then ultimately, I like to suggest that people pretend to be your best friend looking at that list and challenging you on all of those things, and just making a plan forward from there. But continually challenging those will allow you to more quickly do it as the negative thoughts pop up. And it's really important to remember that when it comes to goals, it is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you are feeling really positive, you are going to find all the creative ways to overcome things, and you'll be just much more motivated. If you start to creep into the negative part, you're going to just think, hey, I can't reach this goal. Like, I'm having a really hard time, and you're just going to essentially fulfill that prophecy. So it's just really important to keep and take stock constantly of where you're at with your goals and your feelings towards achieving your goals.
Yeah, and I find when I have my own kind of a goal debrief where I am intentional about figuring out what went well over this last week or whatever, and where did I get hung up, that kind of helps me to systematically work through whatever the challenges might be, and then take time to celebrate the things that I'm making progress in. Mm-hmm. So that's a really good tip. So let's recap. So what we first talked about is the neuroscience behind manifestation and why it is actually a practice that works on a neurobiological level. Then we talked about how there's a right way and a wrong way to use manifestation. It's not some kind of a magical solution. It's not a name it, claim it kind of thing. You need to declare your desires, your goals, your wishes for the future, but then you need to put the action behind it and start taking steps towards that. And just be open to the opportunities that you're going to start noticing along the way that are going to help you along to your ultimate goal. So some practical tips to help you harness the power of manifestation in your own life. Number 1, set your goals. Number 2, spend 5 to 10 minutes a day focusing specifically on your goals. Spend that time on a vision board if you want to kind of get clear on your goals. And tip 3 was doing a personal debrief. Assess where you're at, where you've made progress, and assess what's hanging you up or holding you back. Assessing your limiting beliefs is also really important at this point. So we created a resource for you to help you work through these things. So you can go to the link in the show notes and download a vision board starter guide that's going to help walk you through the step-by-step process of creating this vision for your life. So that does it for today's episode of Brazen. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy this show, please rate and review the podcast wherever you like to listen to it. And we'll see you back here next week.
Thank you.